Yeah, but you'll knock it out. You'll knock it out, Chair. I have faith.
Madam Clerk, you better get you a bottle of oxygen when you start reading all these public works.
I got coffee and water.
Okay, we've got 6 o'clock. Let's go ahead and go live. All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, December the 8th City Council meeting. I now call this meeting to order. Our Pledge of Allegiance and invocation will be by Vice Chair Ken Smith this afternoon.
All right, thank you. Salute. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, move the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. We have no special presentations this afternoon. Could I get a motion for the minutes, please?
To approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the minutes with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? If not, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes.
Councilman Byrd?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilman Ledford?
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Henderson?
Yes.
It's 9 yeses.
Motion carries. Thank you. Now we move into order of business for your city council. We have no ordinances this afternoon on final reading. We do have several on first reading. Madam Clerk, under finance and administration, would you please read alternate version 2A, please?
Alternate version 2A. An ordinance to amend the operations budget number 13558, known as the fiscal year 2020 through 2021 operations budget ordinance, so as to appropriate $1.7 million for additional employee compensation.
Councilwoman Burrs, followed by Councilman Ledford.
Move approval, sir.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? If not, roll call, please.
Councilman Oglesby?
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Ledford?
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
Yes.
Councilman Byrd?
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Henderson?
Yes.
9 yeses.
So moved. Now, Madam Clerk, would you please read alternate version 2B?
Yes. Item 2B, an ordinance to amend the operations budget number 13558, known as the fiscal year 2020 through 2021 operations budget ordinance, so as to appropriate certain additional funding in the amount of $800,000 for the Forgotten Child Fund, the Tivoli Memorial Auditorium Foundation, Bessie Smith Cultural Center, United Way of Greater Chattanooga, and the Southeast Tennessee Development District, SETDD.
Vice Chair Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Due to the inevitability of a number of expenses COVID related that the city is still going to incur probably before the end of the year, I would like to move to defer this item to January 5th just to ensure we cover our own expenses prior to submitting and issuing money to outside agencies, sir. So that is a motion to defer to January 5th.
All right. We have a motion on the floor to defer till January the 5th. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion to defer with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes.
Councilman Byrd?
No.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
No.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilman Ledford?
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell?
No.
Councilman Oglesby?
No.
Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Henderson?
Yes.
That's 5 yeses.
Motion carries to defer until January the 5th. All right, Madam Clerk, we now move into our planning items. At this time, I would like to turn the chair over to Vice Chair Smith so that I can handle the first item.
All right, thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, item B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone two properties located in the 1000 block of Bush Street from R1 residential zone to ERA2 urban edge residential attached 2 stories subject to certain conditions.
Madam Clerk, I did not specify. That is my fault. There is a alternate version. It is the one in bold. Do you see that one as the second item? Or
Yes,
it's in
I
the
have.
middle?
Well,
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith,
Yes, sir.
I've been in touch with the applicant and trying to work out some details for the conditions. We have both agreed that we will defer this until January the 5th. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to defer till January the 5th.
Very well,
Second.
sir. All right, thank you. We've got a motion and a second to defer this item to January 5th. Seeing no other hands, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
9 yeses.
Uh,
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Chair, I turn the chair back over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, we'll now read item C, please.
Ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone part of a property located at 1100 Lupton Drive from R1 residential zone, UGC urban general commercial zone, and R4 special zone to UGC urban general commercial zone and R1 single family residential zone, subject to certain conditions.
Okay, Councilman Mitchell, this is in your district. Do you need a presentation, sir?
Well, is there opposition?
I'll tell you what, let me do it this way. Is the applicant present? Would you please raise your hand? Is there any opposition present? Would you please raise your hand? I'm assuming that there is some opposition, sir. A hand did go up. Oh, well, actually, I think this is part of the developer.
Yeah, I think so.
Is there any opposition to this item? I'm seeing no opposition at this time.
Well, if it's no opposition, I move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? If not, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
motion carries. I'm
Mr.
sorry?
Chair,
Yes,
for some reason, Donna Shepherd's hand is still up.
it is now lowered.
No, it's not. Thank you. Never mind.
Don't take victory or don't take defeat out of the jaws of victory. Madam Clerk, I think we're ready for item D, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as a rezone property at 7504 Old Lee Highway from R4 special zone to C2 convenience commercial zone.
Okay, Councilman Ledford, before I go to you, is the applicant present on this item? Would you please raise your hand? And is there any opposition? Or Councilman, is this the one that they requested a deferral?
Yes, sir. I'll be moving to withdraw.
Withdraw, okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Thank-
You got the
Thank you,
floor.
Chairman. Have spoken to the applicant and a representative of the applicant, and they do withdraw, please.
Second.
Move to withdraw.
Okay, we have a motion to withdraw with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
motion carries. To withdraw. 6E, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone parts of properties located at 7924, 8000, 8004, and 8016 Old Lee Highway from R2 residential zone, R3 residential zone, and R5 residential zone to C2 convenience commercial zone.
Is the applicant present? Would you please raise your hand at this time? And is there any opposition? Would you please raise your hand at this time? Councilman Ledford?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
so moved. 6F, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 7722 Standard Gap Road from RZ10 lot line residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse 0 lot line zone subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Would you please raise your hand? And is there any opposition? Would you please raise your hand? Okay, we have a Wayne Rock with his
I believe-
hand up.
I
Councilman
believe that's the
Ledford.
next case. I think that's
Okay.
I believe that's for the next case, Chairman.
Okay, all right, Councilman Ledford.
I have talked to Blythe and they will handle any issues with permitting with the single curb cut. I'm good with the conditions. Move to approve.
Okay. We have a motion to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote?
Who made the second on that?
Me.
Thank you.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
very well. Motion carries. Item 6G, please.
An ordinance to, shall I read the planning version?
Alternate.
Okay,
G, okay.
alternate version. An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 4261 Shallowford Road from C2 convenience commercial zone to M2 light industrial zone.
Is the applicant present? Would you raise your hand? Is there any opposition present? Would you raise your hand? Councilman Gilbert, I'm seeing no opposition.
Can I read the conditions in the record?
Yes, sir. If you need me to do it or if you need John, whichever.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
The conditions at least are that the following uses are prohibited on site: commercial towers, microwave towers, rug cleaning operations, and active textile dyeing.
Thank you, sir. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. The alternate version. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
9 yeses.
All right, so moved. Motion carries. Now, Madam Clerk, let's read 6H, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 3104 East 38th Street from R1 residential zone to R2 residential zone.
All right. Is the applicant present? Would you please raise your hand? Any opposition to this rezone? Would you please raise your hand? All right. Councilman Oglesby, I'm not seeing applicant nor opposition at this
Okay.
time.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I move to deny based on the recommendation for denial by planning and staff.
Second.
Okay, very well. Have a motion on the floor to deny with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
motion to deny carries. All right, Madam Clerk, 6I, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 2608 East Main Street from R2 residential zone to UGC urban general commercial zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Would you please raise your hand at this time? Is there any opposition present? Would you please raise your hand at this time? Very well. Councilwoman Coonrod.
For the record, will you read the conditions?
Mr. Attorney, could you do that for us, sir?
Sure will. The conditions on this, there are 4 conditions. No auto-oriented uses, warehousing and wholesaling, adult-oriented businesses, self-storage service facilities, animal hospitals, kennels, and drive-through. All of those are prohibited. Drive-throughs do not include curbside pickup or carry-out dining services. There's to be no outdoor amplification of sound. Dumpster service is prohibited between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. and the building height is limited to 2.5 stories or 35 feet.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
motion to approve carries 9-0. Now, Madam Clerk, item 6J, please. Let's see, I guess you want to read the planning and staff version. The first one.
Recommended for approval, planning and staff.
Yes,
Okay. An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 2407 Farley Street from M1 manufacturing zone to RTZ residential townhouse 0 lot line zone.
is the applicant present? Would you please raise your hand? Is there any opposition present? Would you please raise your hand? Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you for investing in District 9. I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
so moved. All right, Madam Clerk, if there are no objections from the council, would you please read items K, L, and M together, please?
Yes. Item K, an ordinance closing and abandoning several unopened, unimproved rights of way within the southern portion of St. Elmo neighborhood as detailed on the attached map subject to certain conditions. Item L, an ordinance closing and abandoning the remaining segment of an unopened alley in the 2700 block of Rossville Boulevard as detailed on the attached map subject to certain conditions. Item M, an ordinance closing and abandoning a portion of the western right-of-way along the 1700 block of South Watkins as detailed on the attached map subject to certain conditions.
All right. Councilman Oglesby, followed by Councilwoman Coonrod.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Any questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
9 yeses.
Motion to approve K, L, and M carries 9-0. Now we move into resolutions. Madam Clerk, if you would take 7A, please.
Resolution considering short-term vacation rental application number 20 SCVR 00136 for property located at 1710 Underwood Street.
Is the applicant present? Would you please raise your hand? Is there any opposition present? Would you please raise your hand at this time? Okay.
Yeah.
Councilman Oglesby, I'm seeing some opposition. Would you like a presentation, sir?
Yes, I would, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Let's see. Who do we need to? Caleb.
Caleb.
I guess Mr. Vice Chair, would you bring in Caleb, please?
Dear. Nicole beat me to it.
Oh, okay. Mr. Fisher? Are you with us? We're not hearing you. We're not hearing you, sir. Let me look, see if I can find you. You're
He's
still
muted.
muted. You're still muted.
Okay, there we go.
There it
There
goes.
we go.
Okay, 1710 Underwood Street, STVR 2136. Well, there we go. This is a map that shows all the surrounding other permitted short-term rentals, the purple being non-owner occupied issued, green being owner occupied issued, and the blue one in the center is 1710 Underwood Street. It's just a closer view of the satellite surrounding view. And this is a shot from the front. This is over on the corner of 17th and Underwood. This is looking down 17th, down Underwood, kind of towards from Underwood up to 17th Street. This is the back parking area. This is the access out from the back parking area, the access in from the back parking area. And then this just shows the alleyways between the buildings there. The history of the application, it was submitted October 8th. We reviewed and approved on the 19th and did the sign and inspection information out on the 21st with the notice letters mailed on the 21st as well. They posted their sign on the 22nd. It did, being new construction, receive a certificate of occupancy back in July, and that brings us to today.
Okay, Councilman Oglesby, any questions for Mr. Fisher before we go to the applicant?
No, sir. I would like to hear from the applicant.
Okay, Mr. Attorney,
Yes, sir.
you want to read rules for presenting the cases?
Yes, sir.
While you're reading, Madam Clerk, if you would bring in Lauren and Jordan Kim, please.
In this case, the council has adopted rules hearing short-term vacation rentals. The applicant will have 5 minutes for an oral presentation, and then anyone that is in opposition can have an equal time of 5 minutes. That's the rules that the council has unless there's an extension of time.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Could we also bring in John Craig, Hal, and Malia Kim? I'm going to be splitting our time to speak with them, if that's all right.
Is he an applicant?
Yes, he's an applicant. We are co-owners.
Co-owners, okay. Madam Clerk, would you bring in John Craig Hal, please? Okay.
Yes. he's
Caleb, okay, Caleb, could you take the screen down so that we could put our timer up, please? And Mr. Vice Chair, could you give us 5 minutes? All right, the Kims, you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name's Lauren Kim. I'm joined here with my husband, Dr. Jordan Kim. We live in Highland Park. Our house is a couple of minutes down the road from 1710 Underwood. We're very invested in Chattanooga and also Southside. We enjoy spending time there. My husband did his residency at Erlanger and is now a family doctor serving the Southside community. His office is just a few minutes walk up the road from Underwood. If we were allowed to move forward with our permit, our intention is to manage the property with an integrity and in a way that keeps the local spirit alive in Chattanooga. I would serve as the property manager. My only other responsibilities during the day are working part-time from home. As the manager of this property during the day, I plan to be close by, hands-on, and most of all, available to renters and neighbors to resolve any issues that may arise. Our management plan includes thoroughly vetting potential renters, limiting occupancy, disallowing parties or events, maintaining posted quiet hours, taking a security deposit for any violation of house rules, and of course, meeting all of the minimum standards of the city requirements for STVRs. I'd be happy to sit down and walk through this plan with each of the objectors and provide my personal direct cell phone number in case any issues may arise. Thank you for your time and hearing us out today. I will now yield the rest of our time to my brother-in-law, John Craig Howell.
Good evening, council members. John Craig Howell. I'm Dr. Kim and Lauren Kim's brother-in-law. My wife, Malia Kim, is Dr. Kim's sister. To start, our families pull our money together to buy this property as a family investment. We plan to use the property for family get-togethers and rent it out while it's not being used to help pay for it. So we will take care of it, be respectful, and keep the neighborhood's integrity intact. Under the city's ordinance, there are no grounds for the city to deny our application that I can see. Considerations for granting or denying are the minimum standards for review and the health, safety, or nuisance concerns about the owners, us. The objectors raise no such concerns about us as owners, and we meet all minimum standards in the city's ordinance. The ordinance also says that an application shall be granted if we meet the requirements of the ordinance, which we have met, and unless it is shown that we won't comply with the law. There's no straight-faced argument or concern that's been raised that we won't comply with the law. And again, we've met all the requirements of the ordinance as Caleb laid out earlier. Therefore, we are just asking the city and the city council to follow its own ordinance and grant our application. Regarding the objection, it says that they don't want a, quote, a hotel in a residential neighborhood. Our property is zoned for commercial mixed use. It's very, very close to 4 actual hotels and a hostel. Our property is directly next to a Midas auto shop and surrounded by businesses. Our property was previously an abandoned building and an empty lot with chain link razor wire surrounding it. Our property is only a few blocks from a massive Koch Foods industrial chicken processing plant employing 400 people. Mr. Hayes, one of the objectors, his property is actually 2 blocks from that plant. Considering this, we find the objection to simply be untrue. We're being objected to by mostly savvy business persons. They only represent approximately 10% of the people that receive notification letters of our application. Mr. Hayes will say he's interested in having genuine local neighbors. Well, here we are. You can't ask for a more local neighbor than a doctor whose offices are down the street. Mr. Hayes will say he's not opposed to STVR in principle, but that a neighborhood's integrity should stay intact. We agree. Again, this is going to be a family-owned property. Mr. Hayes is going to say that city council should apply a percentage on STVR certificates. We also agree, but so far there's no other STVR in our building at 1710 Underwood. We would be the only one. It seems we are in the middle of a disagreement between Mr. Hayes and city council regarding STVR legislation and percentages, but that should not be the basis for denying an application. We simply ask that the city council follow the ordinance and grant our application. I want to thank you again, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, Councilman Oglesby, do you have any questions for the Kims or Mr.?
No, not at this time. I'd like to hear the opposition now.
Okay, very well. Madam Clerk, would you excuse our guest?
Yes.
And let's bring in Mr. Hayes, please. Good afternoon, Mr. Hayes.
Good evening. Thank y'all, members of council. As y'all know, this is the third time I've appeared here, and I think the applicant sort of did state the views of my neighborhood fairly well. In general, we're not opposed to STVRs. We have several in the neighborhood. What we are opposed to and have concerns with is when multifamily buildings get built behind single family homes. We do believe that there ought to be some density requirement. As I've said before, there was a 9-unit building, and that four of the 9 units ended up being short-term vacation rentals. In this building, is that we're concerned that if we start allowing one, that others start happening. And so we've asked and would like, whether it be the developer and their homeowners association to put some restrictions, or in the upcoming or the legislation you all are talking about as city council, that we involve neighborhoods in some density discussions. But in this particular case, this will be the, as I say, the third time, of 4 different units that have come up, and we would respectfully ask that you, deny this application.
Councilman Oglesby, any questions for Mr. Hayes?
No, I'd like to ask Caleb, how many letters of opposition did he get on this? What was the final count? Because I know I've gotten several.
Hold on 1 second. Let me excuse our guest.
Yes, thank you.
So that we can take up this in council. And Mr. Vice Chair, there you go. You read my mind. All right, Councilman Oglesby.
Yeah, how you doing, sir?
Go ahead.
Thought you was Caleb. Caleb.
I believe the question was how many opposition letters came in for that for 1710 Underwood?
Yes.
It was the one petition signed by 5 different people.
Okay. And this, I to maintain consistency in previous decisions and the neighborhood's strong need to maintain that integrity. I'm going to have to move to deny this request.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make the motion to deny this request.
We have a motion on the floor to deny. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to deny with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd.
You're
And
muted. You're muted, Councilwoman.
Good here. Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
9 yeses.
Motion to deny carries 9-0. Now, Madam Clerk, if there are no objections from the council, I would like for you to read B and C, 7B and 7C at this time.
A resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a lease agreement substantially the form attached with Missionary Ridge Neighborhood Association, Inc. for a term of 1 year with the option to renew for 3 additional terms of 1 year each for the use of 36 Sheridan Avenue, identified as tax parcel number 156EB001.01 for the amount of $1 per year. Item C, a resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of Dan Wright to the Wastewater Regulations and Appeals Board.
Councilwoman Coonrod, followed by Councilwoman Byrd.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yeah.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
so moved. The next three items, because they are planning items dealing with special exceptions permit, we will take them one at a time so that we can recognize applicant and any opposition. So Madam Clerk, if you would, 7D, please.
A resolution approving a special exceptions permit for a residential plan unit development for property located at 1076 River Gorge Drive.
Is the applicant present? Would you please raise your hand? Is there any opposition present? Would you please raise your hand? Council, I'm seeing no opposition at this time. Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This being in your district and without objection, I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
motion carries. Councilman Mitchell, do you have any objection to taking E and F together, sir, since they both are
No, sir.
related? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you take 7E and F together, please?
Yes. Item E, a resolution approving a special exceptions permit for a residential plan unit development for property located at 1100 Lupton Drive, subject to certain conditions. Item F, a resolution authorizing abandonment of a residential plan unit development for a property located at 1100 Lupton Drive.
Okay. Is the applicant present? Would you please raise your hand? Any opposition present? Would you please raise your hand? Councilman Mitchell.
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve items E and F with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
9 yeses.
Motion to approve carries 9-0. Madam Clerk, if you would, 7G, please.
A resolution authorizing the Chattanooga Police Department to accept FY 2020 Local Law Enforcement BJA Grant for Crime Gun Intelligence Centers Grant for 36 months starting October 1, 2020 through September 30, 2023 in the amount of $700,000.
Councilwoman Byrd.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
so moved. That concludes our resolutions for this afternoon. We now move to purchases. Council, would you pull up your purchases as the clerk brings in Mr. Tony Sammons, please? Good afternoon, Mr. Sammons.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. And
Actually, it is evening. Thank you.
good evening to you all. We have a few purchases for your approval and one emergency purchase to bring to your attention. With the new purchases, we first start with Waste Resource Division of Public Works. We have the purchase of VARIC biogas regulator and repair kits being awarded to Appalachian Environmental Equipment Incorporated and an estimated annual cost of $53,606. Next, We have from the Waste Resource Division of Public Works, we have janitorial and custodial services being awarded to Jana King of Chattanooga for an estimated annual cost of $80,000. Next, from the Department of Economic and Community Development, we have Winter Non-Congregate Shelter for Rooms being awarded to JDH Developers, Chattanooga Hotel LLC, also known as the Chat Inn, for an estimated annual cost of $143,465. Next is a citywide purchase for office and classroom supplies, ink and toner, being awarded to Staples Contract and Commercial LLC for an estimated annual cost of $600,000. Last, we have from the Fleet Division of Public Works, we have various size tires for city vehicles being awarded to Best One Tire of Chattanooga for an estimated annual cost of $18,048.92. And that concludes the new purchase this evening.
All right, council, what is your pleasure on the purchases this afternoon?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the purchases with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
No.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Oglesby,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
8 yeses.
All right. Motion carries 8-1. Mr. Salmons, you have an emergency purchase to report?
I do. Thank you, Council. We have one emergency purchase that falls under the emergency purchases under the Mayor's Emergency Declaration. This is related to COVID-19. It's for cleaning services being awarded to Jan Pro of East Tennessee. Purchase order number 559738 in the amount of $40,000 for emergency cleaning services for the Salvation Army COVID Isolation Center.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Salmons on our emergency purchase? Very well. Thank you, Mr. Salmons.
Thank you, and you have a good evening.
Okay. That takes us to committee reports before we get into each individual council person. Councilwoman Burrs, we deferred our amendment, our finance amendments this afternoon, item alternate version 2B until January the 5th. Could you have a committee meeting on the 5th to discuss this item, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, committee reports. Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had Public Works and Transportation today after agenda session, and we will again, I guess we'll set it, if it's all right with you, Mr. Chair, for the 5th of January, the first meeting back, because we will not meet on the 22nd. So, or we could go to the 12th. What do you think, Mr. Chair?
Let's go the 5th. I think, of course, we have finance now, but I think that'll be the only other committee we have.
That'd be planning and zoning.
Yeah.
Oh, it will.
Yes.
Okay. You want to bump it to the 12th then?
Yeah, and if something critical comes up between now and then for the 5th, we'll figure out how to deal with that. Probably just an agenda session.
Okay. All right. Very well. We'll do it on the 12th. Thank you, sir. Councilman Gilbert, you're muted, sir.
No report.
Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to say thank you to our council for approving the non-congregate shelter because it's getting cold and our homeless population need a place to live. But from YFD perspective, we're still in the business of making sure that people do not become homeless. So if you need help just with your rent getting paid, email us at csbg@chattanooga.gov. If you need help with your rent and mortgage, give us a call, 423-643-6434.
Thank you. Vice Chair Smith.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Burrs, any other report to add?
No, sir.
Councilman Oglesby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today at Economic and Community Development, we had a great presentation from Alco Properties about a potential pilot to do some renovation at Battery Heights located in District 9. And we also got some good news today for some additional funding from the Tennessee Housing Development Association to help support COVID efforts. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Ledford.
No report, Chairman.
Councilman Byrd.
No report, Chair.
All right, very well. All right, now we come to the time in our agenda where we recognize persons wishing to address the council. Vice Chair Smith, do we have any registered speakers this afternoon?
Yes, sir, we do. There were a few for the zoning cases that I believe have already spoken, but there are a few others that don't appear to be related to zoning cases that may wish to speak this evening.
Okay. If you have registered to speak and you would like to do so at this time, would you please raise your hand? Vice Chair Smith, I see that Mr. Howell has his hand up. I know he's registered. Mr. Noblet, I know we have rules about speaking once per council meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. You generally do about items that are on the agenda. Yes.
Would he be eligible to speak again during public comment?
I guess it depends on what his topic is. Yes, sir.
Okay.
If he is speaking just on a general topic at this point in time, unrelated to the short-term rental question that he spoke in part, that's the question. But he did speak earlier this evening on the short-term rental issue.
Okay, but then that does not prohibit him from speaking during public comment. Is that correct?
It's an item that's not on the agenda at this time, but that would depend on what he speaks about.
Okay. All right, so he can speak about anything but the short-term vacation rental. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Howell, if you would like to speak at this time about anything except the short-term vacation rental, you may do so at this time. Madam Clerk, would you bring Mr. Howell in?
Mr. Chair, you want to read the rules?
That'd probably be a good idea.
Sure.
Mr. Attorney, and while you're reading the rules, Vice Chair, would you put up the 3 minutes?
Absolutely.
And these electronic rules have been adopted by this council since the COVID issues came in. Currently, Executive Order 25 of the governor has extended these electronic meetings through December the 27th of 2020. And anyone that wants to speak in a matter normally has to register at the beginning of the meeting to speak. And at any time here, they have to do that. At the end of the council meeting, the chair will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council on non-agenda items. Each speaker wishing to address the council is to be recognized only after they provide their name, address, and council district. Can't have more than 3 minutes to speak, and you can address the council only upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority. Cannot address the council on matters which are not under the authority of the council and are regulated by other governmental bodies or agencies. And you can't use any vulgar or obscene language nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others. You should address your comments to the council as a whole and not make comments directed towards individual council members. Having read those instructions to you, you may speak on matters that are not on the agenda.
Okay, Mr. Howell, you have 3 minutes, sir, on anything but short-term vacation rentals. Could you unmute your mic, sir? There we go.
Yeah, thanks again for hearing me. I was going to just ask for a clarification of the grounds of the denial, so I don't have anything further to discuss.
Okay.
Thanks again for your time tonight.
All right, thank you. All right. Vice Chair, could you confirm the next 2 hands raised, please?
Yes, sir. They are both registered.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you bring in Casey Crook, please?
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
All right. It did something weird. I don't know. My name is Casey Crook. I live in District 3. And I'm calling in because of the upcoming budget amendments and proposals, particularly around new police programs or renewing those programs, or I'm not actually sure what the funding is, but I wanted to say that a comment made earlier today implied that not implied, a comment made earlier today by one of the council people said that now is the time to build up our surplus. Now is the time to like pay the people back. And I wholly disagree with that. I think that this is the time, if anything, this is what a surplus is for. This is why we have that money. And this is what a government is for, is to spend our way out of crises like this and make sure that we can help save as many people as we can. Maura Sullivan earlier today said that she wasn't sure when this COVID crisis was gonna end. And I think we don't know. And I don't think this is something that we can continue to punt down the road. I don't think that we can or should continue to pretend like it's not happening, or pretend that we can wait on it, or pretend that we can wait it out. What we need to do is help people, is reach out our hands and do what we can, as opposed to holding it off until after the election, perhaps, or holding it off until January or February or whenever. I also wanted to throw out that Rainbow Railroad is a charity, and they estimate that it costs about $10,000 to move someone into stable, consistent housing. If, for instance, there is a $700,000 police program that the council is looking to vote on, theoretically that could house 70 people, if my math is right. And I think something that I think if the council has a choice between investing in something that so many of your constituents have said they don't want, or legitimately saving people's lives, especially as as temperatures continue to drop, as we pass through Christmas, as people continue to get evicted, whatever's in your power, I think that you should continue to do. You should continue to fund homeless help, rent help, anything like that that keeps people off the streets and not further punish them.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, Christopher Dahl, please. All right, Mr. Dahl, if you could unmute your mic.
Yes, my name is Christopher Dahl, and I live at 2020 East 12th Street. I want to say thanks for allowing me to speak today. I wanted to touch basis on a few different issues that have been ongoing. One is I had raised the fact that I had tried to apply for the city boards that they have, the quasi-judicial boards. And I even stated this on public record at a city council meeting, and I was told to put my application back through online, which I have done so, and still have not heard anything, not even a response whether my application was received or not either. Also, the second issue, and I've raised this with the internal affairs of the police department, but there's an issue with policy not being followed across the board, especially around the policy of utilizing the lights and or siren when exceeding the speed limit. And also there's an issue with turn signals seemingly not working on the new vehicles. So we might want to have fleet maintenance check those out, even though I believe policy states that the officers are supposed to do a walk around on their vehicles to make sure that their vehicles are in proper working order. Lastly, I've noticed on on the Brainerd Road area that there seems to be a heavily police presence around a building that has a red sign that says D something. And I'm not sure if it's a massage parlor or a new police precinct, but I wanted to bring it up to your guys' attention that it seems like there's a heavy police presence there throughout the day, several times throughout the day, where they're just sitting around loitering. So if you guys might want to check that issue out as well. And on that note, I want to say thanks again for allowing me to speak, and you guys have a great rest of the evening and a great weekend as well. Thanks, and have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. I noticed that Ms. Mara Knowles is on the call with us. Would you please get back with Mr. Dahl about his applications to the boards? Thanks. All right, Madam Clerk, you can excuse our guest. Anyone else who has registered to speak this afternoon, if you would like to do so, please raise your hand at this time. Okay. Mr. Vice Chair, you can take the clock down. I'm seeing no other hands at this time. What is the pleasure of the council?
Will we adjourn?
So moved. We're adjourned.
All right, everybody have
See
a great
everybody
week.
next week.